Now, if policing and justice is to be devolved, it's thought it will need to happen before Christmas to avoid becoming snarled in electoral politics as we head towards a Westminster poll in the summer. It's been described as the last piece of the jigsaw. Once that's in place, everything's settled until someone decides to rearrange the pieces, which is exactly what DUP leader Peter Robinson suggested this week. Political editor Mark Devenport is here to explain. Mark, this speech from Peter Robinson, has it potentially delayed the devolution of policing and justice?
Well, both Peter Robinson and his Minister Arlene Foster, after the speech was made, said they weren't raising his suggestions as a precondition to the devolution of policing and justice. So on the face of it, no. There are, however, obviously other obstacles, particularly the whole question of satisfactory resourcing of the police, and that's going to be on the agenda when Peter Robinson and Martin McGuinness visit Downing Street this week. And if those discussions don't go well, then I suppose you could say that the difficulties within the parties, between the parties that led to that speech, could become a complicating factor if we don't actually achieve this handover by Christmas.
So what exactly is Peter Robinson now saying?
Well, essentially, he's looking for an entire change to the system at Stormont. At the moment, when politicians sign in at Stormont, they must say whether they are designating as nationalists, unionists or others. And he is now calling for the abolition of community designation in the Assembly. If that was to happen, it would have an immediate knock-on effect on how you vote in the Assembly, because at the moment we have this business of cross-community consent. There are different ways you can do it, but it basically boils down to having to have most votes on both sides, which is why you have that kind of Sinn Féin DUP standoff or Sinn Féin DUP agreement. Instead, Peter Robinson says he would like a weighted majority voting system relying on 65% of the overall vote of those in the Assembly. And his argument is that that would then mean that no single party could then hold up any particular initiative, because as things stand in the Assembly, no single party has sufficient members to block a 65% vote. So that's his suggested alternative.
That's the kernel of it. It's pretty fundamental stuff.
Yes, and we saw a very angry and quite personal reaction from Martin McGuinness because they see this as code, really, for all the other parties ganging up on Sinn Féin, taking away their veto and then going without them. Peter Robinson would say, look, it's not just directed against Sinn Féin. The same could happen to the DUP. It certainly allows for a bit more fluidity, but it means rewriting the Good Friday Agreement, and there's a big question as to whether nationalists will ever agree to that.
Now, the DUP have said this isn't a precondition for devolving policing and justice, but is it part of the ongoing mix in terms of the discussions that are taking place behind closed doors at the moment, or is this just purely kite flying?
Well, I think it's more really to do with the frustration that the DUP feels about deadlock and veto, which we've seen in relation to, say, education, the whole business of tackling sectarianism, racism and various other initiatives which have got bogged down. But it also, I think, talks to the sort of lack of trust, the lack of confidence between the parties, and that's where I say it could get enmeshed. If we find that the resourcing argument is not working and they're not agreeing on that, and elections, both the Westminster election and the next Assembly election, come closer, then at that point you could see this all getting enmeshed together.
OK, Mark, many thanks.